The Chainsaw Devil, an embodiment of pure destruction and violence. Its power is unmatched, and its hunger insatiable. This devil's presence alone strikes fear into the hearts of both man and monster alike. The perfect representation of chaos and the unrelenting nature of death. The King of Curses, a name whispered in dread and awe. His power reverberates through the corridors of time, a testament to his reign. To see him is to stare into the abyss, where nightmares take form and fears become reality. A true embodiment of terror. And today, we aren't talking about either of them. No. You see, we're here to talk about the modern avatars of these demonic atrocities against nature. The respective protagonists of their series, and the lighter halves to their deeply unruly inner demons, Yuji Itadori and Denji. These two have undoubtedly set the new standard for what a modern anime protagonist should be to succeed in this dark shonen era. Today I ask, who is really the more powerful of Studio Mappa's Season 1 4K Titans? And who deserves the title of Dark Trio's strongest? Could Yuji Itadori take down his most dangerous devil yet? Or would Denji hunt the King of Curses right from the pages of history? If you end up enjoying, don't forget that I need you to hit that big red button so we can get paid and I can keep making all the content that you want to see. And I won't make you wait any longer. Timestamps are in the description. And this is Yuji versus Denji. Sit back, relax, get yourself a cold drink, enjoy. To start, let's go over the respective Chainsaw Man himself. Now, to understand the scaling behind Denji's Chainsaw Devil powers, it's important to understand how exactly devil powers work in the first place. Devils are born of a literal embodiment of fear and desire. They tap into the darkest corners of human consciousness to channel those emotions into devastating powers. They're superhumanly strong, exceptionally resilient, and the defining trait that connects them is their power of regeneration through the consumption of blood, making them near immortal in combat. This makes most devils fairly threatening given their experience and adaptability, granting them the time to evolve and grow stronger with each battle, even through ones that would be otherwise fatal. For most humans, the power of a devil is an unobtainable double-edged sword, as devils live for nothing but their own pleasure, and would only share their power with a human for a cost. But of course, for Denji, that's not really true, because he acquired the rare status in his world of becoming a devil hybrid. A human given the life and power of a devil without repercussion. Now being fueled by the insanely powerful Chainsaw Devil, he is granted some intense abilities, all by pulling a cord embedded in his chest. This form, known literally as Chainsaw Man, is strong enough to lift and catch cars flung at him at sonic speeds, fast enough to outpace bullet timers like Angel and Kobeni, and most importantly, survive some obscene amounts of damage. And when I say obscene, I really mean it. Due to being a hybrid, this man is functionally immortal and he shows it. He can walk off getting shot, being thrown from buildings, being bisected, crushed, and having most of his body blown up on more than a few occasions. Then she manages to come back to life somehow just fine with no lasting damage. This is of course paired with an extraordinary amount of mental fortitude as well, allowing him to fight through 3 days of straight torture and be able to function fine as a devil hunter for the Yakuza before even becoming Chainsaw Man, despite having multiple failing organs and a failing heart. Like I said though, as long as Denji can even drink a little bit of blood, he's essentially a perpetual motion machine, capable of healing himself indefinitely. Although this limitation is obviously a hindrance to Denji, since without blood, which he won't be getting too much of from Yuji without ending this fight, he can only heal so much, even if he can function perfectly fine with much more damage than any regular human, regardless. As for the unique power granted to him by the Chainsaw Devil, well, you can see him, right? For anyone who wasn't aware, he makes chainsaws. He can manifest and manipulate these chainsaws from seemingly any part of his body, with enough power to hack and slash as an effective weapon against other devils. To give some idea of how much force these chainsaws might be packing at any given time, even weak devils like the Bat Devil can casually blast massive chunks out of huge modern buildings, nearly leveling 2 seemingly multi-story buildings at once, just a single attack. which for our math enthusiasts out there might calc out to about 10 to the 9 or 10 to the 10 joules of energy on the low end. And as one of the first devils Denji actually beats his Chainsaw Man, he's likely immeasurably inferior to the likes of even the Eternity Devil, let alone higher-ups such as Katana Man. As for Itadori, being in a series that's been stuck in the limelight for a lot longer, his scaling is much more concrete and simple. In the world of Jujutsu Kaisen, Jujutsu sorcery is a unique form of manipulation and control over spiritual energy called cursed energy. It's a power they draw upon to fuel their sorcery and fight powerful curses, comprised of the literal life force of all living beings. When Yuji's stats are augmented by the usage of cursed energy and cursed techniques, he can even harm top-tier curses like Hanami, even if only slightly, who himself had remarkable durability and toughness, even for his standing as a special grade. With Hanami's rival Jogo being compared to around 9 fingers worth of the King of Curses' full strength of 20. For some comparison, random, albeit powerful nameless finger bearers, which only held a single finger's worth of power, are considered to be so strong that an entire carpet bombing might be able to take one out. With even weaker grade 1 curses being supposedly unfazed by tanks, with high-end tank shells calcing out to about 10 to the 7 joules of energy, and cluster bombing going as high as 10 to the 9. While Yuji was definitely weaker than the aforementioned finger bearer at the time of their fight, by the end of Season 1 after developing so many special techniques, such as the Divergent Fist and Black Flash, as well as eating more fingers, and the fact that Megumi defeats a similar finger bearer at the end of Season 1, I have no problem at all saying that at his current level, you could compare his attacks to those at building level ranges. But to go into a little more specific detail, for those who don't know, Yuji has access to 2 main powers from his cursed energy training. The first is an ability that almost all sorcerers can technically use, called Black Flash. Applied within 1/1,000,000th of a second of a physical hit, when a sorcerer is able to get into a perfect flow state mindset, they can achieve this, and their cursed energy flashes black, and in the moment of impact their destructive power increases to 2.5 times their original. While Itadori obviously can't rely on this power to trigger since it functionally acts like a critical hit in an RPG, once it's been activated, it is stated in the manga that successive uses of the technique are almost easy to perform, in Yuji's case being able to string as many as 4 together while in the zone. The author even states on one occasion that Itadori and Todo could have instantly killed Jogo, who's still equal to 9 fingers, with only 5 or 6 flashes worth, which could scale Yuji potentially much higher. But as both hinted at in the anime and stated in the manga, accessing this state provides such a complete control of your cursed energy that your battle power is raised to 120% of your maximum for a short period after using it. The second ability he has is his signature technique, the Divergent Fist. While training with Gojo, it was discovered that Yuji's cursed energy has a time lag in its control. By striking with his fist coated in a thin layer of cursed energy, a second wave of cursed energy is pushed alongside it a few moments afterwards, effectively creating 2 impacts in a single punch. Divergent Fist was essentially formed from Yuji's bad habits when controlling his cursed energy. However, its effectiveness in combat, bearing a strong resemblance to Gojo's Blue Flash, is very useful for hitting slippery targets or breaking through durable ones. Now, for the fight. How do these characters match up with one another? In my opinion, unlike my other Versus fights so far, I don't see stats alone as nearly enough to determine the outcome here. With Denji surviving the Bat Devil's attack unscathed, and Yuji scaling up to or above the same building or perhaps street leveling output, combined with the fact that Itadori also scales above bullet timing through Maki's feat of catching a bullet, very similar to all of Denji's feats, I would have to say that this fight becomes incredibly close. So here's what I see as their advantages. As both pretty much exclusively hand-to-hand fighters, judging on their respective Season 1 fights, Yuji would decisively outclass Denji in terms of straight-up hands. While Denji puts up a great fight against Katana Man, he never blatantly outskills him, even after training with Kishibe, relying more on his trickery to stay competitive in the fight. Whereas Itadori not only squared off with Todo much more evenly, someone who is considered to be one of the most skilled and powerful young sorcerers, but also ended up being able to fight on completely even terms with him once they teamed up to jump the cursed spirit Hanami. This is all to go without mentioning him bodying Mahito or taking on most of the Kyoto school at once. Adding Yuji's slightly better skill and experience into play with his now noticeable enough strength edge brought by way of his cursed techniques, and Denji's undoubtedly getting physically pressured in this fight. But by way of his regeneration, Denji is certainly not going easy, beat down and all. So this then begs the real question. Could Denji's endurance and regen outlast Yuji's physical strength and stamina? While I would say Yuji's barrage of black flashes is probably enough to end things on the spot, I think because of its inconsistency, Yuji would struggle to beat through the insane hybrid devil durability. And while Denji would definitely have his work cut out for him, weathering a storm of divergent blows, in the end, because of his near endless stamina and ever-evolving adaptive nature, he'd likely find an opening from an exhausted opponent and strike. While Denji might not have the insane firepower of Black Flash, potentially scaling as high as town level, or the same well-honed fisticuffs, Yuji just doesn't have very much in his arsenal to put him down either. At least not permanently. But unlike Denji, damage for Itadori is something he won't ever heal from. A deep wound or a loss of a limb could instantly mean game over, especially with the snowballed healing effects blood brings about for Chainsaw Man. So I suppose, by way of simply near immortality and limited toolkits for both parties, the winner of the Season 1 fight has gotta be...
You're just so predictable.
Yeah, did you really think I was gonna forget about him? In an all-out life-or-death battle, why wouldn't Yuji call upon the true power of the King of Curses, Sukuna, to aid him, just as he did in his battle against the Finger Bearer? Unlike most protagonists with monsters in their belly, Yuji really can just say a random start phrase and sick this beast onto anyone he wants to. And I'm not even gonna lie to you, this would not be close. Those mortal wounds Yuji couldn't survive before? Yeah, Sukuna can operate completely unhindered without a heart. Lost a limb? He can restore it through reverse curse technique. No blood required. And that's all assuming Denji could even hit him in the first place though, because Jujutsu aside, Sukuna's speed, skill, and power are on a different level from Yuji. With just 2 fingers worth of his full power, he casually one-shot and dissected the Finger Bearer, calling him weak. And Sukuna would go on to get 2 more fingers later on in the season, so yeah, building level isn't cutting it here. Even if we ignore all the other insane buffs, now putting Yuji's stats and hacks way above Denji, Denji's insane durability and endurance are basically useless here because of Sukuna's perfected Jujutsu sorcery, mostly coming in the form of domain expansion. A technique that lets the user create a large area in which space is distorted, giving the creator of the room the ability to deliver powerful attacks to their target without ever even touching them. Satoru Gojo literally even stating that it is impossible to invade attacks within one of these domains. So the final verdict. If Denji and Yuji fought in a one-on-one man-to-man confrontation, I could really see it going either way, with a slight edge probably going to Denji because of Itadori's inconsistent powers, and Denji's absurd survivability. However, the second Sukuna comes out, things would basically just be down to a waiting game until he gets tired of messing around, then shreds him with domain expansion. But of course, we all know from the eventual showdown with the Gun Devil to the conclusion of JJK Season 2, on top of just the later chapters of the manga, these guys are both gonna get a lot stronger. Plus, I just don't really find it too fair to be giving one of them their full-powered demon counterpart, and not the other. So if you liked this video and want to see a part 2 featuring their manga counterparts, if this video hits 2,000 likes, I'll put it into production. And while you're down there, tell me, what'd you like to see me talk about next? Don't forget to hit those buttons, click that card, and that's all for today. Thanks.